had invited me to talk about the science of teaching, things would have been much easier. But one is called to speak about the art of teaching, then the task becomes daunting. The task becomes very challenging. As you know, the difference between science and the arts. Science is something which can be taught by certain standardized procedures and practices. And art is something which is left to the subjective experiences of individuals. So each one of us can become an artist, but it is for each one of us as a teacher to realize that what will make me an artist. How do I realize my own idiosyncratic, verticalized, subjective worldview of knowledge to very specific frame of mind which has been created and cultivated as a result of my education, training and socialization experience. Therefore, the task becomes daunting because there is no standardized way of teaching arts. So I thought that let me take the chance of coming and sharing my own experiences as a teacher for the last 36 years. Teacher to various institutions, to various kinds of audiences. So what I wish to do today, with whatever time available at my disposal, is to share with you some of my own experiments of educating. Believe me, I am not here, neither I intend to give you any gyan. Yourself is very knowledgeable, and teaching to teachers is like eating salt with salt. I know how difficult it is. When I am on that side of the situation, what I expect, what I do, and how I am continuously evaluated. I won't mind being evaluated. I won't mind being assessed. And getting an assessment from your own fraternity, from your own colleagues, generally waits for the retirement, when you get a good rating from your own colleagues. Generally when people retire in my profession, you get to listen to nice words. Prior to that, you hardly listen nice words from your own colleagues. There's a more of criticism, and since I am approaching that stage of retirement, in a decade, after a decade I think I will retire. So I am not here to give any kind of knowledge. This is the first thing. Second thing, that I don't have any standardized format of sharing with you the art of teaching. I have tried various things. Some of them worked, some of them worked well, some of them didn't work. I learned my lessons, I discovered my mistakes. I became more conscious of my liabilities as a teacher. And I realized how little I know. That is why going to library is a very painful experience. And thanks to the technology, it gives you everything on fingertips. So when you go to the library, you realize how little you know. Similarly, when you come to colleagues, teachers, you are meant to realize how little you know. I have 3 facets of my talk. First, I don't have any PowerPoint presentation. So whatever presentation I have would be completely powerless presentations. So I am more interested in talking to you than sharing my PowerPoints. And more in you as an audience, as a colleague, as a friend, as a co-learner. Why it is very important for all of us as a teacher to become co-learners. This is a very important learning. May first week I was traveling to Canada, Vancouver, University of British Columbia. I have traveled earlier. Half of the world I have traveled. But never realized that there is a very interesting announcement which often air hostesses make as a security measure. And you remember those instances where they say that, well, now I'm going to give you some security announcements. And security seat belt signs are on, fasten your seat belt. On the left side there are so many doors. When the aeroplane goes on a high altitude, due to paucity of oxygen, right, the oxygen mask will come down. And then you put it on your face, right, with the help of a flap. And then only you help others. There is a very good learning here. If you start helping others before you help yourself, you would hardly be able to sustain the help. Same is the game of teaching. If we do not learn ourselves first, and the moment I become teacher, I done my PhD, I have completed my MA, and since I was a good student, therefore I got the opportunity to teach. And in higher education, the predicament is that there is hardly any formal training for teaching. There is too much of training for primary and school level teaching. But it is believed by the system that if you have attained a higher degree with good marks, you automatically become a good teacher. Which is a more often than not erroneous assumption. Very erroneous assumption. Just by virtue of having done your postgraduate studies or research with some effectiveness, do not qualify all of us to become excellent, effective and artful teachers. Nonetheless, that is what the kind of system we are placed in. So it's very important that we become co-learners. Why? Why do we have to learn the art of teaching, and why do we have to become co-learners? This is the question I wish to ask to all of us. Why can't we accept the way things are? Because if we do not attend to it, and I am speaking straight from my experience, if you will insist, I will also give you some research evidences. But that will be my academic part of my deliberation. First of all, let's accept the fact that knowledge is no longer eternal entity. None of us is going to get Vedic knowledge, time tested, unquestionable, to be accepted as a gospel truth. We are going to be giving knowledge which has been created by us, which has been tested by us, and we also know it is not going to last forever. So there is a continuous updation of knowledge. So knowledge is being taken as a perishable commodity. It's like having a fridge or a television which has its life tenure. Same is true about the knowledge. Knowledge is being positioned as a commodity which is to be consumed, utilized, right? And then new knowledge will come to replace it. Therefore, it becomes important that we continuously go on updating it, and the best way to update is to become a core learner. I often sit in selection committees. That is what my seniority privileges me to do. And one persistent question I ask, and I often feel very disappointed. When was the last time you read a good book which you still remember? When was the last time you learned something exciting and you felt like sharing it with your own students? And find that in 90% of the cases, right, there are all kinds of explanations coming except answering the question in the right way. And it shows that the knowledge as a perishable commodity has not gone into the head of this person. It is not becoming the part of his or her cognitive scheme that I have to go on continuously updating my knowledge. So this is the first reason that why we have to be continuously on our toes. If I want to remain relevant, if I want to enjoy the power, status, privilege and image that I wish to enjoy as a teacher. Second reason is that why we have to be learning the artful part of the teaching. Look at the way the world of technology is changing. On my mobile, I was checking in the morning before coming for this class, and I could see there are thousands of websites talking about the art of teaching. I was not carrying my computer, I had the mobile, and there are hundreds of research evidences being given. Okay? In my class at Delhi University, MA psychology class, 60% of the students sit in my class with smartphones, internet connectivity. Same may be true in your case as well. The number could vary depending on the places and the institutions, but even to a very modest assessment, not less than 50% of the students sitting in class with the smartphone, and they have access directly while listening to your lecture, access to the best information available on the web worldwide. Sometimes the students also and teachers have complained, our own colleagues have complained that they prompt the point because they have discovered the PowerPoint from which you are teaching. किसी से बोलते हैं अब ये बोलेगा, अगला पॉइंट ये बोलेगा, अगला पॉइंट ये बोलेगा. The prompt, right? And they make teachers nervous because they are not noting down anything. How many of us in class will feel very comfortable if students are not writing, just staring at our face? लोग देख रहे होते हैं हमें और आपके ज्ञान से बिल्कुल प्रभावित नहीं. Therefore, it becomes very, very important that we go beyond the act of information disseminators. This is the second reason that why we have to continuously change ourselves. If we remain satisfied, I am picking up material from somewhere and reproducing, relaying it in the class, and this is a great, yes, it may have been a great job in the era of 60s. सन 60 और 70 के दशक में ये बहुत महान कार्य हो सकता है. But in the contemporary context, you find that it's relaying information is not something which is satisfying, gratifying, or value added in any way. So this is the second reason that why we have to be continuously changing and situating is the one. And if you look at the definition of knowledge itself, there is a difference between the definition of information versus knowledge. Any data with some formation in some kind of a pattern, organization is information. In plus formation is information. Any data in formation is information. And knowledge will become knowledge only when it comes close to my own subjective experience, my own personal experience. इसलिए किताबों को कभी knowledgeable नहीं कहा जाता है, हमेशा आदमी को knowledgeable कहा जाता है. Look at the standard English expression of the word, ये नहीं कहा जाता है कि बड़ी knowledgeable किताब है, पर आदमी के बारे में कहा जाता है कि ये बड़े knowledgeable है. हालांकि सारा ज्ञान किताब में है, but website is hardly referred as a knowledgeable website. It's very informative website because information has been organized in it. But what would be the right thing for us? That how do I connect it with the subjective frame of the learner? So this is the third reason that why we have to be continuously doing it. And believe me, there cannot be only one standard method of connecting it with the subjective experience of the subjects. Because the amount of diversity that is available in the classroom these days, I don't know whether you believe it or not, but I can say it on the basis of my own research, 80% students, and places like Delhi University I am talking about, come to the classes without any career plan. सारे पढ़ने नहीं आते, पता नहीं है कि 5 साल 10 साल बाद इस एजुकेशन का उनकी लाइफ में क्या इस्तेमाल होगा. 80%, sometimes 85% have absolutely no idea. They are into the business of higher education because the social script has been created like this. There is a pressure from the society, there is a pressure from the... Look at the country, look at the US country where only 11% people are graduating. Most powerful country in the world, which whole world looks up as a model, only 11% graduates. Ours is still better. Though graduate employment ratio is not very encouraging with us, I have all these statistics क्योंकि मेरे पास एक additional responsibility है दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में. I also look after the international relations. So I am doing international relations at Delhi University. So I have to remember many of the national statistics to impress upon the foreign delegates which are coming to visit Delhi University. तो भौकाल शब्द जानते हैं आप लोग? तो स्टैटिस्टिक्स का भौकाल बनाए रखने के लिए ये सब चीज़ें, ग्रेजुएट एनरोलमेंट रेशियो कितना है, कितने लोग ग्रेजुएशन कर रहे हैं, कितनी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, कितने कॉलेजेस हैं, क्या, all statistics over a period of time I have tracked. But the fact of matter remains, where the serious business of teaching comes into it, that it has to be addressed. You should be able to address to a diverse set of students who do not have any common goal-sharing perspective. They are very diverse in terms of orientation, in terms of life interest, in terms of their learning styles. I will talk about their learning styles. I am sure many of you will be familiar with the Cole's learning style model. That there are two. And look at our own preferred learning style. We all have a preferred learning style. Don't think that we all learn things in a very standardized way as a teacher. Sometimes I learn much better when I am watching a video. Listening to a lecture, I can share. If you go to the website of tech.com, how many of you have visited? Tech.com, yes. Those of you who have visited, you know that there are powerful lectures, right? And there is a very interesting lecture by Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, where he is challenging the basic fundamental notion of a biology that human body is not designed to die, right? He said this is the one belief that has been created, but the biological evidences are suggesting something else, right? Similarly, if you look at the work of Richard Dawkins, they are all available on the tech.com, and this two video lecture in very powerful oriental styles you can see. I sometimes listen a topic more preferably that. There are topics, there are issues and ideas which I learn better when I am talking, interacting in a group. My thinking works best when I am challenged by a student in a class, when I am thinking through my feet, right? There are times when I am learning, when I am taking out the students for hands-on kind of experience. My learning is much better, and I recently experimented with that. So, if you are not updating yourself continuously, then how do you address the diverse set of students in the class who themselves are thoroughly confused and they don't know why they have come to this particular class? They just need a job. What will happen to do the job? Right? So, on money. So, how money is going to contribute? So, you will say, I will fulfill my responsibility. Is that all? So, he cannot give very convincing answers. Like many of us even don't have answers to many questions in life. So, if we have a diverse set of students in the class, and I am teaching everyone with the same style of teaching, because I am under the belief that I have the reservoir of greatest knowledge at my command, and I must pour it out to the students, then I may be making a very erroneous assumption, and then my whole work. So, this is the third reason that why we should be continuously updating, so that I remain relevant to the diversity of the students. IT is changing, making our life difficult. Diversity of the students making our life difficult, and the market has made knowledge a commodity, which is bound to perish, which has a limited shelf life, particularly in the world of management, where we are dealing. We are not sure what would be the life of a theory, how long it will last, right? What would be the relevance of this particular kind of knowledge, how long it will be able to sustain, and therefore I have to be in touch with the latest and the contemporary. And if not into the touch of contemporary, there is all possibility that I may be pushed at the margins. I may not be very central, and then may have all kinds of complaint. बच्चे पढ़ने नहीं आते हैं, किसी की डायरेक्शन नहीं है, मोटिवेशन नहीं है, बेकार है, सिस्टम ठीक नहीं है. Every all kinds of these complaints you can go. This is the another reason that why we have to be learning the art of a teaching. The another reason which is very important for all of us to be attending it, is the cultural context in which we are giving education. Our own cultural context. Very rarely you will come across the standard material which are talking about the cultural challenges of education. And I think that is where we have to be more artful in terms of our teaching, because our cultural challenges are very different. Studies we are talking about, that's why is it such a scenario, right? And where we are not being able to be very pulsating and vibrating in terms of your dissemination of knowledge. Sanjay has an explanation. He said maybe it is because of the cultural issues. Our cultures have created. I come from a village. I have born and brought up in a village, in a nearby place. So my grandfather used to make a comment when we were getting educated. And it was said in a very local dialect which is spoken on this part of the country. कम पढ़ेगा तो हल से जाएगा, और ज़्यादा पढ़ेगा तो घर से जाएगा। भोजपुरी में कहते थे वो, कम पढ़ी तो घर से जाए, ज़्यादा पढ़ी, कम पढ़ी तो हर से जाए, और ज़्यादा पढ़ी तो घर से जाए। Uprootedness, the sense of disconnect, and he was right. None of us who got educated, right, felt more rooted within our own soil. It's a very cultural issue. So it creates a sense of uprootedness. The more education we get, more refinement that comes to us, right? Less connected we feel with our own heritage, traditions, right? With our own soil, with our own historical legacies. All of a sudden we feel that we have got power to redefine everything, whether right or wrong. Now this cultural issue, which creates a sense of uprootedness, has also created a sense that the education becomes the only vehicle to change the demographic texture of our life as a means of employment. Education has become a means of employment. So I earn my livelihood, and we all have changed our life situations because we got education. But has education, और आप अपने आसपास जरा ध्यान से देखिएगा आपसे दोबारा, कि अगर ये व्यक्ति यह नौकरी नहीं कर रहा होता पढ़ाने की, मैं ऐसा देख के कह सकता हूँ, तो भी शायद ऐसे ही बात करता और इसके सोचने का ढंग ऐसे ही है। अगर ये इंश्योरेंस के एजेंट भी होते, पढ़ा नहीं रहे होते, या प्रोफेसर के धंधे में नहीं होते, तो भी इनके बात करने, सोचने, समझने या चीज़ों को एनालाइज करने का तौर तरीका फर्क नहीं होता। It would have been the same. It means that the education has not changed any core of my personal belief. Education has remained a means of earning my livelihood. जीविकोपार्जन का साधन और जरिया. This is the cultural frame. So when we are doing the teaching here in this context, believe me, it is also our challenge. If the student is not motivated, motivating him is also a challenge. Helping him redefine the cultural frame of reference is also important to do that. How it can be done, I'll talk into the second part of it, that how these challenges can be mitigated. But only I'm giving you the reasons. If anyone has any doubt, that मैंने पहला सवाल ये शुरू किया था कि why this art of teaching or why this is very necessary to all of us. And I have felt that because I taught here in Allahabad University, in Varanasi University, in Delhi University, and almost all the institutions, university institutions and IIMs, I have interacted with the faculty. I have interacted with the CEOs, the blue chip companies, the frontline managers, and also the primary school kids. I love interacting and talking to them. So I conduct a lot of value indoctrination program for smaller kids. So I also know that, have some experience of sharing that how kids are to be taught, because at times it becomes very difficult. I will share one experience. I was picked up by Rajiv Gandhi Foundation as the national resource when the 73rd constitutional amendment took place, to train the village panchayats, tribal women in Madhya Pradesh about their constitutional rights, about the policy and planning will emanate from the grassroots level. These are the agenda of 73rd Constitutional Amendment. So Rajiv Gandhi Foundation people told me that you are a good teacher and trainer, so I need to join us. I said it's very honorable offer and therefore I must join. And as a first assignment, I was sent to Bhopal, where the tribal women who got elected in the panchayat elections, and they were called to Bhopal for training. 3 days training about their constitutional right, personal health and hygiene, environmental awareness, how to make policies, how to do community work, this was the agenda of the training. I had a great reputation of teaching in Delhi University and teaching with the best of audience internationally. Also I have delivered so many talks in Europe and US and all. So I had that my baggage. वजन काफी था बीच में, और 30 women who were बैठी थी एक सर्कुलर फॉर्म में इन ए हॉल, और 9:30 बजे जब उनकी ट्रेनिंग हुई, And the first question that I ask, anybody has difficulty in Hindi? No, all of you can understand. Is it okay if I keep switching over in between? The idea is to establish dialogue. The idea is not to impress you by a grand British style wordplay. Other occasions, maybe when I'm delivering in a seminar. ये 30 महिलाएं बैठी हुई थी, जिसमें से सिर्फ 7 या 8 की शक्ल मुझे दिख रही थी, बाकी सबके ऊपर घूंघट थे। मैंने उनसे पहला सवाल पूछा कि आप लोगों को मालूम है कि यहाँ क्यों इकट्ठे हुए हैं? और सोच लीजिए कि 21 घूंघट यहाँ से यहाँ जैसे सूंड हिल रहे थे। मैंने कहा परमात्मा इन लोगों की ट्रेनिंग कैसे मैं 3 दिन करूँगा? सीधा मना कर रहे हैं, यहाँ से यहाँ उनका घूंघट गिर रहा है, नहीं हमें कुछ नहीं बता। तो मैंने कहा कि अच्छा इस का उद्देश्य क्या है इस तरह की ट्रेनिंग का? पूरी क्लास चुप। एक महिला जो इसके घूंघट नहीं था उसने कहा आप बताओ जी, पढ़ाने के लिए आप बताओ। बात तो ठीक है। मैंने कहा आपको यहाँ से क्या संदेश भेजा गया था चित्रकूट से? तो उन्होंने कहा जी वो जो भेजा गया था वो गांव के पढ़े वाले ने पढ़ के सुनाया कि हमें भोपाल आना है करने के लिए। It means most of them were also illiterate. With my baggage of teaching to international audience, right, teaching to the most suave, most communication-friendly set of students, right? With my own baggage of training, knowledge, the burden of knowledge that is on my head, everything rather than becoming my assets turn out to be greatest liabilities. And didn't know what to do. किसी तरह से उनसे 1 घंटे बातचीत करने के बाद मैंने प्रोग्राम कोऑर्डिनेटर को बुलाया। मैंने कहा ये आफ्टरनून की फ्लाइट्स में हमारा टिकट करा दो, मेरे बस की बात नहीं। And there was a representative from Rajiv Gandhi. उसने कहा is that all? इतनी है आपकी औकात ज्ञान की? You cannot situate your understanding to this frame of reference of this particular audience. Then I started reflecting and thinking about what is wrong with that. What is wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with the audience. This was the point I wanted to drive home with you. If you have been given a bad audience, if you have been given a bad set of brilliant set of students, हमसे क्यों पढ़ेगा यार? मैं सीधा सवाल पूछता हूँ. If he is brilliant minded, am I capable of handling him? He doesn't need teacher, right? Who needs a teacher who is really a difficult learning situation? That is where my daunting task is. बिलीव करिए जिस दिन आपकी किसी भी क्लास में 20% ब्रिलियंट माइंड बैठ गया, आप पढ़ा नहीं पाएंगे उस क्लास में। 20% लड़के अगर सवाल क्रिटिकली पूछने लगे आपसे, तो आप हम में से किसी की औकात नहीं है कि उस क्लास को हैंडल कर लेगा। मैं तो ईश्वर से मनाता हूँ कि 5 से अधिक ना आए क्लास में। This is what the challenge. Then I said, okay, I am going to do away with all my preparation and methodologies. There is something wrong in the way I have planned the entire scenario. There is something wrong in my assumptions about my own audience. There is something wrong in the way this knowledge content has been created by me. So I said, can you arrange a video camera and a monitor? He said yes. Because let me take the knowledge to their level. And I thought that, let me try out this experiment, right? And then we got within 1 hour, 1 घंटे का टी ब्रेक किया मैंने, 15 मिनट का जो होता है. I organized all the things and I started giving a small task related to all the problems. And he said, listen, small groups, जैसे गांव में छोटी-छोटी बैठकें होती हैं, इसी बैठक के फॉर्म में आप प्लान करिए कि हेल्थ इशू, जैसे मैंने दी एक बीमारी है, कोई एक्सपेक्टिंग मदर है, उसके हेल्थ का इशू आप कैसे डील करें, किसी की लड़की भाग गई है किसी और के साथ बिना घर वालों को होता है, एक ही ग्रुप में 4 रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम्स मैंने वहीं सोची. और मेरा गांव का जो बैकग्राउंड जो पढ़ने से पहले वाला था वो बहुत काम आया है. एंड देन दे स्टार्टेड वर्किंग one by one in a group, and then there was a video shoot, and then each group for 15-minute work on that, they talk. And believe me, when each group was shown the monitor after some time, all their Googles were gone up. सब एक दूसरे को कोनी मार के दूसरे की शक्ल दिखा रहे हैं. You imagine, think of a situation जहाँ की ट्राइबल वुमेन पहली बार अपने आप को टेलीविजन पे देख रही है. Real time experience. And then there was a complete ice breaking, right? And then I followed the same methodology, and it continued for 3 days, even until 7 o'clock in the evening. None of them had any desire to go back to their place of stay, and continued. And I had a repeat of 9 programs. They said it was brilliant. So initially, जो threat था, जो challenge था हमारे लिए, because there was something wrong in me. There was absolutely nothing wrong in the way the audience was trying to understand it. I taught them their fundamental rights. Now I am putting it into the more academically palatable language. Their fundamental rights. I taught them the environment and health issues, but how to keep your environment clean, how to take care of the roads and gullies and the common shared areas of the village. Also taught them that how to take care of your health, expecting mother through school education, right? Also that how you can coordinate with your next level officer videos and district level officers, how to coordinate with that, how to create a community participation meetings. And I have simply role plays, exercises and video shoots. No lecturing, no talk. And the feedback, the communication analysis, everything was done then and there. And you will not believe by the third time they had role plays and video shoots and sessions, right? They all were a different breed. They all fell. And they all have written, 99% have written that this program should have been 15 days program. Otherwise they would have perfected their skill and they actually know how to do it. But as a part of the plan, it was 3 days. This is a very important to address before. So therefore it is very necessary that we are challenged and we are written, and therefore the art of teaching, right, is to be learned, practiced and continuously improved. Nobody can ever say that he has become, even the artists, किसी artist के मर जाने के बाद ही उसके बारे में कहा जाता है कि he was a master artist, right? Till he is there, he is in practice. A good doctor कभी नहीं कहा जाता है कि he is a perfect doctor, सिर्फ यही कहा जाता है कि he has a great practice. Even a lawyer, किसी lawyer नहीं कहा he is a perfect lawyer, he has a roaring practice. Right? Same is true about the teachers. The more practice we have, right? So we have to be in continuous business of practice, and then only we can be able to do it. So now we have enough reasons. Am I right? Have we been able to give you enough reasons that in order to remain relevant, in order for all of us not to be pushed at the margins, we have to be co-learners. We have to be continuously challenging ourselves that what is the best way that can be learned. There was a consistent complaint in my department that students coming in the class with smartphones and Wi-Fi enabled laptops, campuses are Wi-Fi, we also all gadgets modern are available here. So I did an experiment. I took a group of 54 students with me to a place called Sapta for an outbound training. Nainital, near Nainital. Yes, for 3 days. Sapta. They have a good site, place. It's organized by one group who happens to be my friend. The details are available. For 54 students traveling in a bus from Delhi, and then we reach next morning to Saptal place. And all these students, believe me, they are the students, right, who come from a good family stock, and they all had questioned that will I be able to live in a camp where 4 to 5 students share one tent. No electricity, no television, no mobile. There is nothing except to get your food and a toilet, bathroom. And we reached in the morning, and within 1 hour I said everyone get ready and assemble back for breakfast. And right from 9 o'clock in the morning, except lunch break, 9 till 6 till the complete dark evening sets in, and after that they bonfire, and they all have activity till 10:30. And after every activity they will assemble, and I will take whiteboard and marker and teach them the basic concepts of communication, team building, decision making, right? Group dynamics, leadership issues, problem solving. They are the part of their course and syllabus. Continuously, it's almost used to be 12 to 14 hours. A day class, no students ever complain, no one falls sick. सारी वो बच्चे जिसमें out of which, right, 48 were girls and only 8-9 were boys. Right? They all, no one, 50-60 मिनट की क्लास में वो छुप के टाइम देखते हैं, टेबल के नीचे से SMS करते हैं, mobiles were not working absolutely. And then I realized that why it is to be taught only in a particular way, because that is what I think is the best way of teaching it. And I said and asked them that 3 sets of assignments are based, and I clubbed them into 3 assignments, and that was part of their practical, covering their 50 marks. They had come out with brilliant, innovative ideas, even the ideas which never occurred to me, because combination of the younger minds that had taken place. Even this, and what they said, I said, what was the best part of it? He said, you as a teacher remain available with undivided attention to us for 12 hours, which never happens in a regular classroom teaching. After 50 minutes, we are not sure whether you will be available or not. This was the feedback they had given. He said, we were very assured that besides learning and experience and that, you as a teacher, you as a resource is available with undivided attention for 12 hours, and that makes us very motivated and excited about the learning. He said, and we could see that these concepts are actually happening. A number of games, exercises and other activities being planned. This also gave me a new realization that how it can be done. So I have set the reasons and the context that why this artful teaching is very relevant for all of us. Now let's come to the second aspect of my talk. How do we do that? What are the ways through which the art of teaching can be learned and mastered? The various ways, and I think one of the first and most important lessons that I have learned, and I am sharing it from based on my own experience, you may reject it as irrelevant. It may not be relevant. I think what is more important and most important is that having a sense of ownership in both learner and the teacher. Sense of ownership. There is no compensation for that. If there is a sense it's my class, and a student also feels it's my class. Generally students do their courses referring it to as commercial sir की class है. पूछो से किसी क्लास है, क्यों बोल रहे हो? तो बोला है कमर्शियल सर की क्लास है. और यही करते करते वो पूरा अपना 2 साल 3 साल काट देता है. कभी सक्सेना जी की क्लास होती है, कभी रॉय साहब की क्लास होती है, कभी मिश्रा जी की क्लास होती है, कभी पांडे जी की क्लास होती है, कभी वर्मा जी की क्लास होती है. उसकी क्लास कभी नहीं होती. Standard phrases, words speak about your mind. So the first thing that needs to be transferred to the student, this is your class with me. And when I talk, this is my class with you. So that there is an ownership on part of both. Believe me, it makes a difference psychologically. This is my class. Take the ownership. And a student take the class, taking the ownership of the class, that the class is going to happen. वो चक इंडिया में कहता है ना कि 70 मिनट तुमसे कोई छीन नहीं सकता. ये जो 60 मिनट है वो तुमसे कोई छीन नहीं सकता. And there is a need to organize my class so that I do my best for the 60 minutes. And when I am going, I know that 60 minutes is mine, and I do my best because nobody can take it. So the first important thing, and you have to go on continuously telling. मैं आने के बाद फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर में स्टूडेंट्स को पहले 1.5 महीना किसकी क्लास है, आपकी क्लासेस है। अच्छा, ये तुम्हारी क्लास कब बनेगी और क्या शर्तें होंगी उस क्लास की बनेगी? टेल मी। मैं पढ़ने आया हूँ कि तुम पढ़ने आए हो? जो पढ़ने तुम आए हो तो क्लास मेरी कैसे हो गई? तुम्हारी भी तो हुई। सो यू से दैट दिस इज माय क्लास एंड बिलीव मी, आफ्टर few repetitions, few embarrassments that you create, gradually learn the phrase. And actually mindset change करने का पहला स्टेप ये होता है कि change the metaphors, change the language, right? Change the expression, change the communication first to the student, and that is what I do. ये तुम्हारी क्लास है मेरे साथ, तुम्हारी क्लास से पूरे दिन भर रहती है, सिर्फ हम बदलते हैं। तो जो तुम्हारे पास इतनी बड़ी मात्रा में क्लास है तो मेरी क्लास कैसे होगी? सिंपल बात, तुम 6 घंटे 7 घंटे चलती है, 6-7 घंटे जो क्लास तुम्हारे पास रहती है वो तुम्हारी नहीं हो रही है, और जो 50 या 60 मिनट या 120 मिनट मेरे पास रहती है तो मेरी क्लास हो जाती है। उसकी वजह ये है ना कि वो क्लास में नहा धो के आने के अलावा कुछ करते नहीं है, हमें पढ़ के आना पड़ता है। तो जिसकी है वो जिम्मेदारी निभा। जिस दिन हम नहीं तैयार होके आते हैं उस दिन हम कितने नेगेटिव फ्रेम माइंड से फिक्रें कसते हुए जाते हैं, क्या जिंदगी है यार, क्या पता क्या हो, तरह का उसमें जो है चलता रहता है। हम सभी गुजरते हैं उस मंजर से, there's nothing surprising about it. पर एक सिंपल सा है कि this is your class, this is the first thing I do. Second thing I do is that what is to be done in the class? I ask them, agenda, it is not set in by the students. What is to be done? क्या करना है? शुरू के 2-3 महीने मालूम नहीं, सर आप बताइए, सर आपको ये पढ़ाना है, इस पेपर का टॉपिक पढ़ाना। अच्छा, तुमने क्या किया इसमें? बोलो। How can you come to a journey without making adequate preparations? Preparation is as much my responsibility as it is yours. So you cannot embark upon a journey unless you have packed your suitcase. So you must pack your bag, right? So I keep telling them, anyone not traveling with a proper backpack is not allowed to go on this journey. So they know that he will create embarrassment one by one. 1-2 दिन क्लास में मैं इससे यही सब करता हूँ, क्या किया, क्या पढ़ गया, सब ये। And every day when I end the class, I also announce what is going to happen in the next class. So it is also becoming a kind of routine. So उनको मालूम होता है कि किसी दिन ये रैंडम में, हाँ बताओ क्या करना है आज, एकदम मैसेज चौंक के देख लिया, अरे मुझे क्यों पूछना है, और लोगों से पूछो। Gradually shifting the ownership, which is as much I have come prepared to start, and same you are also expected to come and prepare. That is how you can move to the whole game of co-learning. Believe me, students start coming prepared, you will always take your discussion and classroom interaction at another level. चूँकि वो तैयार करके नहीं आते हैं, बिल्कुल पढ़ के नहीं आते हैं, और उनकी ना कोई श्रद्धा है इस पूरे कार्यक्रम में। हमारे हम भी थे स्टूडेंट को ऐसा ही था, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था कि हमको बहुत क्रांतिकारी स्टूडेंट थे, हम लोग ऐसे लस्टर पस्टर नहीं निकले हैं। तो बाद में रिफ्लेक्शन में then you reconstruct and reposition yourself in a more powerful and effective way. This is the first thing, that how to transfer the sense of ownership. Why this? I learned this lesson early in my teaching career because of very personal reasons. Very personal reasons. When I shifted from Banaras to Delhi, and this is the second point that I want to drive home, that becoming reflective. When I shifted from Banaras to Delhi, my daughter was studying here in ये जो स्कूल था संदीप स्कूल में, she was studying in class 1. For her, shifting to Delhi in a completely alien frame was quite a huge cultural shock. And believe me, this may be true for many of these students which are coming to your institutions as well. It is a cultural transition for a student. The way it was a cultural transition for my daughter. So I got her admitted after a lot of political सिफारिश. स्कूल में एडमिशन कराना बहुत बड़ी टेक्निक है. मैंने अपने नेटवर्क कॉन्टैक्ट का इस्तेमाल करा के एक अच्छी स्कूल में उसका दाखिला कराया. क्लास 1 में. तो क्लास 1 में यहाँ पढ़ती थी. 2 महीने बाद उसका शुरू हो गया पापा मुझे स्कूल नहीं जाना. 6 साल की बच्ची. और वही पेरेंट्स का कैसे नहीं जाना है. और हम पति पत्नी दोनों लोग सुबह एक युद्ध की भूमिका में, कोई दूध पिला रहा है, कोई कपड़े पहना रहा है, कोई उसको पाउडर लगा रहा है, कोई बैग ठीक कर रहा है. हम दोनों लोग जो है उससे युद्ध करते हैं. और ये घसीटा घसीटी का कार्यक्रम करीब 1.5 महीने चला. And then she started developing psychosomatic fever. तो सुबह 4:30 बजे उसका फीवर चढ़ जाता था 103, 104 और 8 बजे के आसपास मॉर्निंग में उतर. She was so fearful of school, and as a 6-year-old she could not express it. When I noticed these symptoms continued for 3 to 4 days, naturally school नहीं जाती थी बुखार पर. Then one day I put her on a dining table, sat below her and asked, बेटा पढ़ना नहीं है? बोले ना. बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ना. मैंने कहा कि नाम कटवा दें? बोले हाँ. नाम कटवा दीजिए और स्कूल गिरवा दीजिए. She had so much aggression. I could sense the aggression in a 6-year-old child. I waited. हमने कहा सुन के बात करते हैं. And repeatedly that was a response. मुझे स्कूल नहीं जाना है, नाम कटवा. So I told my wife that this is the situation and we have 2 choices. Either she gets educated or we lose our daughter. 2 things. I think for me, daughter is more important than her education. So I have decided that I will get her name struck off in her experience and then we'll see how the life unfolds. Both my father, my wife, all my family members were very, very angry with me. So my wife refused to talk to me. She said, it's a bad decision, I don't subscribe. I said, fine. I am going to be running the risk, but I love her too much, I care for too much, and therefore I don't want to take any risk. That she would be a psychological wreck, completely broken down girl, at such a tender stage in the name of education, I cannot inflict torture upon her. मैं स्कूल ले गया, उसका नाम कटवाया उसके सामने में, उसकी उपस्थिति में 3,000 रुपये उस समय उसकी सिक्योरिटी मनी थी, वो लेके आया, बाजार गया. ये जो उसने वो कहती रही, मुझे फ्रॉक खरीदना है, मुझे टेडी बियर खरीदना है, मुझे साइकिल खरीद. 3,000 रुपये मैंने वहाँ खर्च किए. मैंने कहा नो एंजॉय, नो मोर स्कूल, नो मोर एजुकेशन, नो मोर टॉक. एंड तुम्हारा नाम तब तक नहीं लिखा जाएगा जब तक कि तुम खुद आके मुझसे नहीं कहोगे तो आप पढ़ना नहीं चाहिए. क्लास 1 में 6.5 year old. और चूँकि मेरे दिमाग में उस समय ये था कि मुझे दिल्ली रहना नहीं है, 1-8 साल बाद हम वापस चले जाएंगे बीचू में, फिर वहाँ उसी स्कूल में चले जाएंगे, प्रॉब्लम होगी सॉल्व. पर डेस्टिनी वाज समथिंग एल्स. जुलाई में उसका स्कूल शुरू हुआ, सितंबर में उसका नाम कट गया. सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर, जनवरी, फरवरी, मार्च, 7 months she remained at home. Naturally, I used to spend more time with her, trying to understand what is happening, what's going on. In March, she said, मुझे स्कूल जाना है. सब बच्चे कॉलेज के स्कूल जाते हैं. मैंने कहा तुम्हारा एडमिशन इस समय कौन होगा? तुम्हारे बाप हैं इंस्पेक्टर, स्कूल थोड़े लगे हैं. उसने कहा मुझे स्कूल जाना है, मैं बोर होती हूँ. मैंने कहा हूँ एडमिट क्यों? उसने कहा उसी स्कूल में जाती है, सब जाते हैं. I went again to the principal. He said one thing कि हमने सुना था साइकोलॉजिस्ट पागल होते हैं, पर ये जीता जागता नमूना यहाँ दिख रहा है. नाम आपने इतनी सिफारिश लगा के नाम लिखा है, 3 महीने बाद आग कटवा दिया और 7 महीने बाद आग कह रहे हैं कि लिख दो अभी अगली क्लास में, बिना पढ़े हुए बच्चों को। मजाक समझ रखा अपने स्कूल, बहुत उसने मेरे साथ कड़ाई से पेश आया, पर मैंने उसकी सारी डांट सह ली। मैंने कहा आपका जो भी प्रोसीजर आप फॉलो करिए, तो उसने कहा हम टेस्ट लेंगे अगली क्लास का, और आपका बच्चा अगर ठीक है, मैंने कहा मुझे 10 दिन का और दीजिए। आई टुक लीव फॉर 10 days, started educating her at home, खेलना और एजुकेट करना, इन्वॉल्व डिफरेंट वे ऑफ एजुकेटिंग। और टेस्ट लिया, टेस्ट में शी मैनेज टू गेट 70% मार्क्स। स्कूल वॉज वेरी हैप्पी, ठीक है, ब्रिलियंट है, कर देते हैं एडमिशन। और क्लास 2nd में उसका एडमिशन। शी इज़ नाउ वर्किंग फॉर एन अमेरिकन फर्म इन कैलिफोर्निया। मैंने 1 पैसा ट्यूटर पर नहीं खर्च किया उसको हाई स्कूल पर, ऑल थ्रू शी हैज बीन मेरिटोरियस। केवल एक ही चीज़ हो गई कि द ओनरशिप, द सेंस ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वो शिफ्टेड फ्रॉम द किड। ये मेरे बेटे के साथ ये नहीं हुआ और आज भी उसको पढ़ाना पड़ता है। Still educating was a big challenge. For my daughter जो है absolutely no challenge. कब उसको होमवर्क करना है, कितना टेलीविजन देखना है, कब सोना है, कब जगना है। She had a complete sense of discretion and the discretion was always judicious. न्याय सम्मत विवेक निर्णय जो उसका था, कभी अभी सो जाना तो अभी सो जाएगी, होमवर्क खत्म करके लंच खाएगी, that's her and we respected that. She said I have to get my 1 degree in some good university abroad. I said try it. She got it in University of California. She got a job and she is working there. और तब से लेकर के आज तक she also worked for Ernst & Young and many other companies there in India before she decided नौकरी छोड़ के अच्छा खासा कमा रही थी। I said I respect your decision because I always feel that you have that independent mind to do that. And it only happened because there was a sense of ownership. Same thing happened with other experiences, and same experiment I tried with the student. When the student do the dissertations, I am looking now talking at the larger level. When the student do the dissertations, research work, right? The amount of engagement and involvement and ownership that they show, which they never show to a classes prepared by teachers, and they are only inflicted with the knowledge. जहाँ हम सिर्फ ज्ञान की घनघोर बारिश करते हैं, उस बारिश में भीगने का उनका मन नहीं करता है, पर वो इनिशिएटिव which they take, that's make a difference. And so this is the one. So first point is shift the ownership. How you do it, that art will have to do. वो कला आपको विकसित करनी पड़ेगी एज ए टीचर की। ये ओनरशिप माइंड के मेटाफर चेंज करने के लिए असाइनमेंट के थ्रू क्रिएट करें, डी इंसेंटिवाइज और इंसेंटिवाइज करके करें प्रोग्राम को, क्लासरूम रिकॉग्निशन स्टूडेंट की करके करें, अपना फेवरेट बना के करें। What processes I create, and you have to choose your processes very carefully, and you are capable of choosing. All teachers are capable of choosing those processes that need to be taken it up. This is the first step, how to be practicing the art of teaching. The second is that these days, what is becoming important, and people must have shared a lot of data, that there is a huge amount of knowledge and skill gap. Right? So we are giving a knowledge which cannot be translated into practice. World of practice wants something else. The educational institutions are providing something else. Right? This is a very important part of how to do it. Now, skill transferring or the skill development, right, can be done in a variety of ways, number of ways. It all depends that what is the preferred learning style of the student. How observant we are as a teacher. और ये बिलीव करिए, ये क्रिकेट मैच जैसा है। क्रिकेट मैच में इंडियन फील्डिंग आज से 5 साल पहले बहुत खराब था, अभी बहुत इम्प्रूव कर दिया। उसका सिंपल सा साइकोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन उनको ये दिया गया कि तुम्हें सिर्फ वो 2 सेकंड के लिए फोकस करना है जब बॉल तुम्हारी तरफ आती है। Then at that time you have to give your 100%, and that's where you make a difference. So you have to be alert just for a couple of minutes. And when ball is not coming your side, you can always relax. Changing your mindset. You don't have to be alert all the time. You don't feel up. You have to be alert just for 2 seconds and give your 101%. Same is true when we are taking the class or a student is attending the class, that you have to be attentive only for 60%, 60-minute time or 1 hour 20-minute time. जैसे ही खत्म बॉल आपकी तरफ नहीं आ रही, आप रिलैक्स करें, जितनी आपकी इमेजिनेशन है उतनी आप उसको दौड़ाइए, बट देयर इज अ वेरी नीड टू रिमेन प्रेजेंट. एंड देयरफॉर the second step that need to be done is to make them remain here, present and now, here and now kind of a situation. So I am here and now, right? So therefore it is another very important thing to make them live in present. हम में जिसको बहुत पॉपुलर लैंग्वेज में कहा जाता है make them passionate. As a psychologist मैं पूछता हूँ कि how to make them passionate. क्योंकि मैं सिर्फ इतना भाषण देने से मुझे संतुष्टि नहीं होती है कि ऑल ऑफ अस हैव टू बी पैशनेट. तो डायलॉग आप लोग भी सुन चुके होंगे, बोलते भी होंगे अपने स्टूडेंट्स को, शिक्षक हैं तो थोड़ा उपदेश देना बनता है हम लोगों का. पैशनेट आदमी कब नहीं होता है? तो जब हमने विचार किया कि हम पैशनेट क्यों नहीं चाहिए, और इसकी दो सिंपल वजह हैं. या तो हमारे पास पास्ट का कोई बोझा होता है तो पास्ट में खोए रहते हैं, या फिर हम फ्यूचर को लेकर चिंतित रहते हैं कि इससे क्या होता है. और ये दोनों जब सोच में हम उलझे रहते हैं तो प्रेजेंट मोमेंट में हम पैशनेट नहीं रहते. देन आई एम नॉट गिविंग माय 100%. All of us are worried either about the past, about which we cannot do, or thinking about the future, about which we cannot do. While taking your class, I can't worry कि बनारस की ट्रैफिक में मैं जाम में आ जाऊंगा तो मेरी फ्लाइट मिस हो जाएगी. If I am continuously worrying about that, what kind of performance I am going to have at this particular moment? So if I have a